Welcome back to the show. Well, our next guest has been around for 6 years, and he has traveled to 17 countries with his mom and dad, and he's something of a superstar celebrity in the pet blogging world. I, of course, am talking about the young Master Monte Cristo. Welcome to the show, Monty. And of course, his mom and dad, Sonia Leshinsky and Stefan Dumas. How are you?
We're good, thank you.
So Monty, he is not just a superstar, but he's up for a couple of awards.
Yeah, so in the pet blogging world, there's sort of the equivalent of the pet blogging Oscars, I guess you could call them. It's called the Nose to Nose Award, and we've been nominated in 2 categories, so it's kind of a big deal.
Wow!
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, so the awards are in Phoenix, and yeah, so it's the first category is best blog design, which I'm really happy to have. But the other one's kind of like the big one that everyone wants, right? And it's kind of like the best movie, and that's the best pet blog. And this is on an international scale, so it's a big deal.
Yeah. So we do have some pictures of Monte Cristo's adventures overseas.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jealous because I don't know that he really appreciates what you guys are doing for him. My kids wouldn't even appreciate it, but this is pretty amazing. Like there he is in Paris. Yeah.
No, he looks like he's having a good
time.
time.
Actually, it's funny, a lot of people say that, and I have to sort of chime in here because he actually is a completely different dog when we're on the road.
Okay.
Traveling with your pet brings out, just like you would see this with people or children. I think the same thing happens with pets. Monte Cristo always ends up with this silly grin. Good timing. And he becomes really fearless when we're on the road. So it's really impressive to see that very big shift. And as soon as I pull out his airline approved carrier from the closet, he knows, and he gets super excited, and
he's like, we're on the road.
Where are we going? Also the idea, it's just the 3 of you traveling, so he doesn't need to protect you from anyone else. He knows the 3 of you are coming together. Exactly.
That's right.
I really want to get back to your blog because honestly, people should be visiting your site because I went on, I'm like, these are the questions that John's parents have been asking because they have a small dog too. So I'm assuming that's why you started the blog. Is it just provided?
Yeah, it's I've always been really sensitive to the pet abandonment because of travel issue. It's something I saw a show on when my mom lives in France, and they had a whole TV show on that. And I remember thinking, when I get a dog one day, I'm going to have to be an ambassador for this. Don't abandon your pet because you're going on a trip, right? Having a pet and traveling are not mutually exclusive. So when the time came to have a pet, I picked one that was really small and could travel in cabin with me. He's my carry-on.
Yeah, right.
And so that was very intentional. And when people started seeing these photos and where we were going, they started asking me questions, and I created cheat sheets, to email to people. But then word of mouth thing happens, right? And all of a sudden, total strangers are emailing me, and I'm going, okay, I don't know this person. And I love to write, and I love storytelling, and I love animals, and I love travel. So it was sort of a natural fit.
That's
and
super
6 years later, we're still at it.
Now, Stefan, you, of course, you're both civil servants, but you also have a huge skill in filming, and you're the behind-the-scenes guy doing all of that sort of stuff. How, you know what they say about working with kids and animals? Is it true?
It is true. It is a lot of fun. I wish we should maybe add some bloopers to our videos, and sometimes we do add, because there's tons of bloopers. There are actually more bloopers than there is footage on these videos. It's so funny. But this dog is great and has opened so many doors for us as we travel, because when we travel, people don't think we're tourists.
Right.
So we're not. People don't come up to us, try to sell us things, whatever. They think we're locals, we're expats.
Right.
Smart, because
we have a dog, and we've been invited everywhere, places we would have never gone, people's homes, whatever, just because we're traveling with this dog, because he's an icebreaker.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it is true, and he's also, a little pocket-sized. It's not an intimidating.
Very approachable.
Right. So, and I mean, that's another thing when you're talking about traveling with a pet. Give us like the number 1 and 2 rules that you must always follow.
Be courteous and aware of local culture, I think is the number 1 thing. There's Europe, I find, much more pet friendly than North America. I actually prefer traveling through Europe because I can eat in any restaurant, patios, inside, outside. They don't really care.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the small museums allow pets indoors, that kind of thing. Whereas I find in North America, it's generally no dogs allowed kind of thing.
And they
So
put the little bowl on the outside.
on the outside,
and
but
wait for
what
it.
am I supposed to do? You know, what if I'm hungry, for example? So, but there are other countries where there's even if he's allowed in, culturally they're not really as used to seeing dogs as a pet. Either they have a wild dog population. So when we were
Right.
traveling through Bulgaria, for example, that was something that came up a lot. There were a lot of wild dogs. And so you had to sort of be a little bit more courteous and aware. One of the things we do have to worry about is whether a country has quarantine. Obviously,
course, yeah.
you know, Australia, I'm looking at you, but we can't go. There's a 6-week
Yeah, there is.
quarantine. But I mean, the world's a really, really big place, and I
Yeah.
haven't felt sort of, you know, corralled by that in any way. In fact, it's like, okay, well, my list just got shorter. Yay.
Yeah, and you also said as far as travel documents, it's very easy to travel through North America, but when you are going overseas, which
Yeah.
Monte Cristo, you're just taking
Yeah.
down the map,
My
Right.
vet-
it's different.
My vet has become a pro at filling out the
Oh, of
European
course.
Union forms.
Yeah.
Last year, although the trip never actually happened, we had planned a trip to South Korea, and that's a little bit more tricky. There's a lot of extra little vaccines you need and things like that. But it's a
course.
lot like for humans, you know.
Right, yeah.
And like a lot of countries require you to have a visa. A lot
Yeah.
require, you know, sometimes you need to get an extra vaccine or two. So for me, it's the same
same
thing.
thing,
It's
yeah.
exactly the
Well,
same.
and this is the case. It's not just protecting your dog, but it's protecting the population. You mentioned Australia, and I'm Australian.
Yeah.
I lived there for 12 years, and they don't have a bunch of diseases
No,
that we
rabies,
have
for
here:
example, yeah.
rabies, foot and mouth disease, all of these things, and it's
Yep.
there for a reason,
For a
you know.
reason,
But it is
exactly.
really difficult
Yeah,
and a
it is,
challenge.
it
So
is. And the other big tip is microchip your pet.
Yes, of course,
Europe,
yeah.
entering Europe, it's actually a requirement. North America has a 9-digit, but Europe has a 15-digit, so that's a big difference. So you have to tell your vet
Yeah.
because your vet won't know.
okay.
Perfect. Always great ideas. So nice to meet you. Everybody needs to visit the blog because it's a wealth of knowledge.
fantastic.
And you'll also be able to catch up and see if Monte Cristo won an award or two.
That's
So
right.
Make sure we'll have you back for sure. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you.
Don't go away. We have luxury matching of wardrobes with Dia Shams.